In this world, strength is often misunderstood. Many believe it is about domination, loudness, or the ability to win arguments and exert control over others. But true strength does not come from the volume of your voice or the number of people who follow your commands. It comes from the silence within you, the calmness that cannot be disturbed, the groundedness that cannot be shaken. This is the type of strength that toxic people fear. Not because it attacks them, but because it reveals them. It is the strength of self-possession, the strength of knowing who you are without needing to prove it. A person who has cultivated this kind of strength no longer dances to the tune of drama. You don't react with anger. You don't beg for understanding. And you don't allow the chaos of others to move your spirit. You are like the mountain still, unyielding, watching storms pass while remaining untouched. And that presence is powerful. It speaks louder than any voice can. It causes those who live in toxicity to feel unease because they cannot manipulate what they cannot move. To build this silent strength, one must turn inward. It is not found in the external world. It is cultivated through practice, through breathing, through meditation, through introspection. In the Shaolin temple, we do not only train the body, we also train the heart. We learn to be at peace in chaos, and that peace becomes our power. In your life, you must also seek such training, not only physical, but mental. Every moment of awareness adds to your inner fortress. Every time you choose patience over reaction, you sharpen the blade of wisdom. Understand this. Toxic people thrive in imbalance. They feed off chaos. But when they encounter someone who cannot be stirred, someone whose silence reflects their own noise back at them, they become uncomfortable. That discomfort is not yours to fix. It is the mirror of their own disorder. So remain still, remain grounded. That is how you begin to shift the dynamic, not with confrontation, but with presence. Before a single word is spoken, your energy has already communicated. It is not something mystical, it is natural. Human beings are tuned to sense intention, to feel authenticity, to detect inner conflict or calmness long before language enters the room. This is why some people draw respect in silence, while others speak loudly but are ignored. The energy you bring into a room, the frequency of your presence, it tells the story of your internal state. Toxic people operate in chaos. They thrive when others are confused, reactive, or in need of validation. But when you walk in with centered, energy-balanced, calm, unattached, they feel something they cannot manipulate. That sensation becomes fear because they realize their tactics have no influence over you. Your inner clarity becomes their mirror, and what they see reflected back is their own disarray. To develop this energy, one must spend time alone, not in loneliness, but in self-reflection. You must become comfortable in your own presence. The less noise you have internally, the more clearly you perceive the world around you. You will begin to see through people, not by suspicion, but by sensitivity. Your awareness sharpens. Your words become fewer, but your presence expands. This is the path of inner refinement. When your presence is refined, your life begins to change. Conversations shift. Toxic individuals grow quiet around you, not because you intimidate with aggression, but because you radiate stability. And stability terrifies those who depend on drama. Let your energy speak for you. Let your inner stillness do the work your voice no longer needs to. A Shaolin monk is trained not to fight, but to avoid fighting. This is not weakness. This is mastery. The real weapon is not the fist, but the mind. It is the capacity to choose how you respond. It is the ability to preserve energy rather than waste it on meaningless conflict. This is what makes you powerful. And this is what makes toxic people fear you. They rely on others being reactive. But if your mind is steady, you disarm them without lifting a finger. When you choose silence over argument, reflection over retaliation, you rise above the battlefield. You no longer play their game. You no longer need to win a debate. Because peace is not found in proving a point. It is found in protecting your center. Toxic people will try to provoke you, to lure you into their world of emotional turbulence. But when your mind is trained, you can see their intentions without becoming part of them. Training the mind is a daily discipline. In the temple, we sit in silence, not just to find peace, but to sharpen awareness. Every breath we take is a sword being forged. Every moment of stillness is a layer of armor being built. You must create this same ritual in your life. Meditate, breathe, reflect. The more control you have over your own thoughts, the less control others will ever have over you. Eventually, toxic individuals will retreat, not because you push them, but because they cannot compete with someone who sees through illusion. They seek victims, not warriors of peace. Your mind, once disciplined, becomes your greatest defense, and your peace, once protected, becomes your most powerful form of influence. In the modern world, people equate stillness with passivity, but this is a misunderstanding. Stillness is not weakness, it is intentional power. When you are still, you are able to observe more. You listen deeper, you feel more clearly. Stillness allows you to see the full picture while others are distracted by the noise. And toxic people who live by creating chaos feel deeply unsettled by your refusal to move with their storm. When you are still, you are unpredictable. You are not controlled by impulse. And this unpredictability makes you powerful. Toxic individuals rely on reaction. But your stillness creates a gapa, sacred space where clarity is born. In that space, you regain power over your choices. You no longer mirror their anger or feed their games. Instead, you become the observer. And from that observation, true wisdom arises. Stillness is not just about physical quietude, it's a state of being. Even when speaking, you can be still inside. Even in motion, your heart can be calm. This is the mastery we train for. This is the state where your power becomes invisible but undeniable. Let others talk, argue, and defend themselves. You don't need to. Let your stillness speak volumes. Let your energy be your answer. When you no longer explain yourself to those who don't understand you, you reclaim your time, your peace, your power. Toxic people cannot reach someone who has gone inward, and they fear what they cannot touch. Let your stillness be your sanctuary. Let it be the quiet force that reshapes your world without ever raising your voice. Many people misunderstand the practice of detachment. They believe it means you stop caring. But this is not the way. Detachment is not indifference. It is clarity. It is the understanding that you are responsible for your energy, not the emotions of others. When you are detached, you see situations as they are, not as your attachments or fears distort them. And this clarity becomes a kind of power that toxic people cannot stand. Toxic individuals seek to draw you into emotional entanglement. They need you to be reactive. They depend on you becoming lost in their story. But when you practice true detachment, you step outside of that cycle. You observe instead of absorb. You respond instead of react. And most importantly, you understand that their energy is not yours to carry. That is freedom. That is self-respect. In Shaolin philosophy, we say, the one who holds the flame is the one who gets burned. So let go. You do not need to hold every offense. You do not need to prove your intentions to those who misunderstand you. When you are detached, Your actions are based on values, not validation. You act from purpose, not pressure. This steadiness, this refusal to be pulled in, is what makes toxic people retreat. You no longer feed their fire. Remember this: detachment doesn't close your heart, it protects it. It allows you to love without losing yourself, to care without carrying what isn't yours. This is strength. This is wisdom. And this is why toxic people begin to fear you. Because when they can no longer hook your emotions, they lose their influence. And when you no longer need them to understand you, you reclaim your peace. In every interaction, you bring energy with you. It surrounds you like a shield, whether you are aware of it or not. Some people walk into a room and carry with them chaos, anxiety, and unhealed wounds. Others move like still water, calm, composed, impenetrable. The energy you carry is either an invitation or a boundary. And when your energy is trained, refined, and protected, it becomes your most powerful defense. Toxic people are drawn to vulnerability, but not the kind that comes from honesty. They are drawn to energetic openness that lacks discernment. They sense when you are unsure, when you doubt yourself, when you are hungry for approval. But once you've done the internal work, once your energy is sealed with self-knowledge and self-trust, they find no way in. They sense your boundaries before you even speak them. In the temple, energy is not something abstracted, it is cultivated. Every breath, every movement, every act of mindfulness shapes the energy field around you. When your energy is disciplined, your life becomes ordered. You attract peace. You repel drama. You become less accessible, no, because you are closed, but because you are intentional. You choose who enters your space, and for what reason. This is what makes toxic people uncomfortable. They can no longer feed off you. Your presence becomes a reminder of their own unrest, and they begin to retreat not by your demand, but by your vibration. Keep your energy clean. Keep your mind clear. That is your armor. That is your quiet power. And that is the invisible force that causes disarray to fall back. In the face of provocation, the most powerful response is none at all. Why? Because reaction is what they want. Reaction is the proof they've touched your core. Toxic people will test you. They will say what is untrue. They will provoke, insult, twist. But if you do not react, you take away their weapon. If you remain calm, they lose control. Your silence becomes their mirror, and they are forced to face themselves. Not reacting does not mean you are weak. It means you are in control. Control of your breath, your emotion, your direction. This is what we train for in martial arts, not only to fight, but to hold power without using it. Every moment you choose silence over conflict, presence over performance, you reveal your mastery. You show that you are not led by ego, but by discipline. In life, people often confuse volume with strength, but true strength is quiet. It does not need to explain itself. It does not seek to be seen. In the presence of a non-reactive person, toxic individuals grow restless. They are used to controlling the tempo of the conversation. But your stillness breaks their rhythm. Your silence throws them off balance. They feel seen not through judgment, but through your unwillingness to engage. Understand this. Not reacting is not avoidance. It is selection. It is you choosing your peace over their chaos. And this choice, when consistent, changes your environment. It changes the way people treat you. It shows them that you will not be moved by manipulation. And once they see that, they begin to fear your quiet strength. To gain mastery over life, you must first gain mastery over the self. This begins not with action, but with observation. Can you watch your own thoughts without becoming them? Can you feel anger without acting on it? Can you sit in discomfort without escaping it? These are the disciplines that separate the reactive from the refined. Toxic people are confused by those who observe rather than engage because they cannot find a way to pull them off center. Internal observation is the first step to transformation. If you cannot see what is happening inside you, you will always be ruled by it. But once you observe without attachment, the patterns begin to change. You become less reactive, more intentional. You move from unconscious repetition to conscious direction. This makes you unpredictable to those who rely on your old habits. In the temple, we practice this daily. We sit not to escape life, but to witness it more clearly. The breath becomes the anchor. The body becomes the classroom. The mind becomes the mirror. And in that mirror, all illusions are revealed. This is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. It is how the warrior sharpens the sword of awareness, not to harm, but to cut through illusion. When you walk through life with this kind of inner clarity, you cannot be manipulated easily. People feel that toxic individuals sense that their words no longer affect you in the same way. Their games no longer work. Your awareness becomes your liberation. And in your liberation, they find fear, because control only works on those who do not see. Boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are gates to protect your inner world. In the Shaolin temple, we have clear structure, rhythm, and ritual. These are not limitations, they are freedoms. Why? Because they define the space within which peace can exist. In life, boundaries are the same. Without them, toxic people will enter your space not because they are strong, but because you left the door open. The boundary is not enforced through anger or force. It is made known through consistency and calm. You must teach people how to treat you not with words, but with your standards. What you allow is what you reinforce. So you must ask yourself, what have I permitted that disturbs my peace? Where have I betrayed myself to avoid conflict? These answers are not comfortable, but they are necessary. They show you where your boundaries must be drawn. A toxic person will always test the limits. They will push to see if you will yield. And if you are not rooted in your self-respect, you will bend and then break. But when your boundaries are firm, not rigid, but grounded, people learn quickly that your peace is not negotiable. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are not pushing people away. You are honoring the sacredness of your space. Let this be your practice. Speak less about your boundaries and live them more. Walk in them, act from them. Let your presence teach others what you will and will not accept. And when someone oversteps, respond with silence or distance and not rage. This is the mature way, the wise way. And it is the way that toxic people begin to fear, not because you punish them, but because they realize you cannot be moved. Many seek power over others. Few seek power over themselves. But real mastery begins with self-command. Discipline is not punishment. It is a form of love. It is the structure that allows your higher self to guide your lower impulses. In the temple, discipline is not enforced, it is chosen. And through it, we find freedom. Not the freedom to do anything, but the freedom to not be ruled by anything. Toxic people lose interest in those who cannot be controlled. And discipline makes you unshakable. When you are disciplined, you don't react to provocation. You don't chase approval. You don't fall into every emotional storm. You are deliberate. You are consistent. You are focused. This focus becomes your shield. It keeps you walking your path, even when others try to drag you off course. Discipline is built through repetition, through showing up even when it's uncomfortable, through choosing what nourishes the soul instead of what distracts the mind. Every time you act in alignment with your higher self, you grow stronger. And strength, when silent and steady, becomes a quiet authority. You don't need to explain your lifestyle to others. you live it. That is enough. Understand, toxic people fear disciplined individuals because they cannot sway them. They cannot tempt them with short-term gain or emotional games. You are not available for chaos. Your life has direction. Your energy has order. And this order repels disorder. Discipline is not just for the monks. It is for anyone who seeks peace, clarity, and inner strength. It is human nature to fear what we cannot control. But for those who operate in toxicity, who rely on manipulation, guilt, or drama, this fear becomes exaggerated. They seek control, not because they are strong, but because they are afraid. Afraid of unpredictability, afraid of stillness, afraid of someone who doesn't play their game. And when you become that person, calm, clear, sovereign, they begin to feel fear, not of you, but of what you represent. You represent freedom, and freedom terrifies those who are enslaved by their own mind. Toxic people are not at peace. Their world is a cycle of reactions. When you show up without reacting, you interrupt the cycle. When you speak with clarity instead of defensiveness, you break their pattern. And when you walk away without drama, you reveal their dependence on conflict. In the temple, we learn that true power is influence without force. The more still you become, the more people reveal themselves around you. You don't need to uncover anyone's character, just be silent, and it will appear. Your stillness becomes a mirror, and not everyone enjoys what they see. This is why your presence begins to unsettle toxic individuals. You are not aggressive, but you are awake. You are not threatening, but you are untouchable. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Just live your truth. Walk your path. Let your peace be louder than their noise. In time, those who cannot control you will either grow or go, and both outcomes are blessings. Calmness is not simply the absence of stress. It is the mastery of response. When you are truly calm, you are not avoiding life. You are meeting it fully, but without losing yourself. This is a warrior spirit. Calmness under pressure, grace in the face of insult, clarity when surrounded by confusion. This is the essence of a Shaolin monk. And it is this calm that toxic people fear, for it reveals their agitation. When you are calm, you become aware of things others miss. You see motives behind words. You notice the energy behind a smile. You catch the tension behind flattery. Calmness expands your perception. It makes you a strategist instead of a reactor. And toxic individuals who depend on speed and surprise find no leverage against someone who does not move in haste. You must train this calmness, not by avoiding stress, but by moving through it with awareness. Breathe deeply, move slowly, speak less, think clearly. These are not just techniques, they are ways of being. And as they become habits, they become your baseline. People will begin to notice that your calm is not weakness, it is a power they cannot comprehend. And what people don't understand, they often fear. Let calmness be your posture. Let it be your tone, your gaze, your presence. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. You do not need to fight to be strong. The calm person commands not through force, but through gravity. Toxic individuals feel that weight, and it unsettles them because your peace is louder than their pressure. There is a language more powerful than words. It is the language of silence. In the Shaolin tradition, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is presence. It is listening without the urge to respond. It is acting without announcing. When you are disciplined, silence becomes your companion, and to the undisciplined, to the toxic, becomes intimidating. They expect conflict. They expect you to defend yourself. But when you give them silence, you give them nothing to hold on to. Silence removes fuel from the fire. It leaves no trace of reaction. And that is what makes it powerful. Toxic people want a response. They want attention, emotion, energy. But silence is the refusal to participate in their theater. It is the declaration that your peace cannot be disturbed by noise. In this way, silence becomes more than avoidance. It becomes a weaponless form of strength. In our training, we observe silence not only with our mouths, but with our minds. We quiet the chatter inside so that we may hear the truth beyond the noise. This is what allows the disciplined to move differently, to wait, to hold, to speak only when words are necessary, and even then, with purpose. Such restraint is rare, and rare things are always respected or feared. Let your silence teach the lesson your words cannot. Let it unsettle those who expect chaos, and let it strengthen your inner world so that you never need to prove your peace to anyone. In time, those who seek drama will find no place in your presence, not because you cast them out, but because silence leaves them alone with their own noise, and that is often too much for them to bear. Many people speak of cleansing the body, of detoxifying through diet or fasting, but very few consider detoxifying their environment, especially the people within it. Your circle is not neutral. It either nourishes your growth or slowly poisons your peace. Toxic people don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper doubt, guilt, and control. And over time, that influence reshapes your mind. To walk the path of clarity, you must cleanse your circle with the same discipline as your body. A toxic presence in your life often begins subtly. A backhanded comment, a manipulative silence, a disguised criticism. But with awareness, these patterns become clear. And when they become clear, you must act not with hate, but with truth. You must decide what kind of energy is allowed in your space, because energy is contagious. And peace is a rare vibration that must be protected. In the Shaolin way, we say, before you grow strong, check your soil. If the environment is not healthy, the seed cannot flourish. The same is true for your mind, your spirit. Surround yourself with those who speak life, who challenge you without harming you, who hold space without judgment. These are your tribe. The rest is noise. Remove it with grace. Not all departures require confrontation. Some require clarity and distance. Understand, the cleaner your environment, the clearer your mind, and the clearer your mind, the stronger your intuition. Toxic people fear being excluded, but they fear something more, being irrelevant. And when you stop feeding their behavior with attention, they begin to disappear. Not because you push them, but because their presence no longer fits your frequency. There is a kind of respect that does not need to be demanded, it is felt. It is the energy of someone who knows their worth, who walks with quiet dignity, who does not lower themselves to be accepted. This is self-respect. And though it may be silent, its impact is loud. It changes the way others speak to you. It shifts the dynamic before words are exchanged. Toxic people sense it immediately, and it unsettles them. Self-respect is not ego. It is knowing what you deserve and no longer negotiating with what depletes you. It is choosing solitude over company that drains you. It is saying no without guilt. It is walking away from chaos, not because you are better, but because you are aware. And that awareness turns into action, consistent, aligned action. This is how self-respect is lived, not spoken. At the temple, we don't carry pride, but we do carry posture. Our back is straight, our gaze steady, our walk grounded. This is not for show, it is a reflection of the inner state. When you respect yourself, it shows, not through arrogance, but through boundaries, not through volume, but through values. And the more consistently you live by your values, the more immune you become to manipulation. Toxic people often rely on others lacking self-respect, but when they see it in you, they retreat, not because you fought them, but because you no longer invite them. Your vibration no longer accommodates their tactics. You don't attack, you outgrow. And in that silent outgrowing, you create a space where only truth can remain. True strength needs no performance. In the Shaolin path, we do not train to impress, we train to transform. The movements, the silence, the breath, they are not for display, they are for discipline. And the same applies to your life. When you walk in authenticity, you stop seeking attention. You live in alignment, and that alone becomes your presence. And that presence is what toxic people find most difficult to handle. It cannot be manipulated because it is not performing. When you no longer seek to prove yourself, you become dangerous to illusions, to deception, to toxicity. Your way of being cuts through pretense. And that honesty, that refusal to be anything but yourself, disorients those who rely on appearances. They fear what is real because it reveals what is false. You don't need to tell them what they are doing. You simply show them by not doing it yourself. In the temple, there are no audiences. There is only the practice. This is the wisdom you must carry. Let your life be the practice, not the performance. Don't speak your values, embody them. Don't announce your peace, live it. In time, the ones meant to stay will resonate with your rhythm. The rest will fade away, not through anger, but through misalignment. So walk your path without fanfare. Let your strength be quiet. Let your progress be private. Toxic people cannot follow where there is no applause, and when the show ends, they disappear. But your path continues, because it was never about being seen, it was about being whole.